Everything the light touches belongs to me.
This life story of Kiros will shake you to your core, and not only that, we've found secret information about his origin and spinning all the beans in this video. You remember that moment in Mufasa, the Lion King, when we first see Kiros? It's a moment that sends chills down your spine. The way he stands there, exuding an aura of quiet menace, as if he's seen the worst the world has to offer and come out the other side more dangerous for it. But what if I told you that Kiros wasn't always the ruthless king we see in the movie? What if his path to power, his rise from outsider to would-be ruler, is even more surprising than we think? You're about to find out who Kiros truly is. You know the story of Mufasa and Simba, the Lion Kings we all grew up loving. They're symbols of leadership, responsibility, and, of course, the circle of life. But what about Kiros? Was he always destined to become the king of the outsiders, or did something, or someone, push him down a darker, lonelier path? In Mufasa, the Lion King, we see hints of a history that runs deeper than just ambition or rivalry. But Kiros' story was actually a tragic one, driven by forces beyond his control. Kiros wasn't born a villain. I know, right? It seems hard to believe, given the merciless way he rules the outsiders, but there was a time before he donned the crown of the exiled, before he was feared by those around him, before he challenged everything Mufasa represented. Kiros was just a young lion trying to figure out his place in the world. But his early life wasn't like Simba's, filled with dreams of someday being king, basking in the warmth of Pride Rock and its majestic legacy. Kiros didn't have that luxury. He didn't grow up under the protective wings of the Pride Lands, or with a father like Mufasa to teach him the ways of leadership. Instead, Kiros was shaped by hardship and the harsh realities of life outside the Pride Lands. We don't know every detail of his early life, but can you imagine how isolating it must have been? The outsiders weren't exactly the kind of group that received sympathy or support from the Pride Lands. They were seen as a threat, or worse, as nothing more than outcasts. And we all know what happens to lions who aren't accepted, especially ones with the kind of fire burning inside them that Kiros had. It's easy to see how someone like him could come to resent the Pride Lands, resent the idea of the circle of life, and grow bitter about the world that rejected him. Now imagine young Kiros, filled with anger and frustration, watching from the shadows as Mufasa ruled the Pride Lands with compassion and strength. Can you imagine how that would have felt for him? He must have seen Mufasa's reign as everything he was not: fair, just, and above all, accepted. But Kiros, he was an outsider, pushed to the edges of the world, wondering why he didn't get to sit on Pride Rock, wondering why his future didn't seem to matter. Was this the turning point? The moment he decided to break away, to claim a piece of the world for himself? There's no doubt that Kiros' rise to power wasn't easy. It wasn't just handed to him. He had to fight for it. If you remember that chilling moment in Mufasa, the Lion King, when he steps into the shadows, calling the outsiders to follow him, there's a clear sense that Kiros isn't here for anyone's approval. He doesn't want to lead with kindness. His leadership is about control, about instilling fear. He didn't come into power by trying to win hearts. He came into power by tearing down those who didn't belong to his world. How many other lions in the Pride Lands have that kind of cold ambition? Scar, maybe. But Kiros is different. He doesn't just want to be king, he wants to reshape everything.
The circle is...
But there's a question that lingers. What was it about the outsiders that made them so loyal to Kiros? Was it his ruthless charm, his undeniable presence, or something darker, like fear? After all, as a leader, he wasn't one to negotiate or show mercy. He ruled with a kind of unflinching determination. If someone challenged him, they were swiftly dealt with. If they didn't fall in line, they'd feel the weight of his wrath.
Believe me.
There's no reason to fear me. I would never harm one of my own.
Thank you, Majesty.
I'll leave that pleasure to
And that's the thing about Kiros. He was never afraid to make tough decisions. But was he also driven by a deep-rooted sense of rejection, a yearning to prove that he could be the ruler the Pride Lands never wanted? It's easy to see how the outsiders, perhaps discarded by the world around them, would be drawn to his ambition. They had nowhere else to go. And when you think about it, Kiros' reign was about more than just power. It was about identity. He wasn't just fighting for a throne, he was fighting to prove that he too could be part of something greater. The outsiders weren't just a group of lions living in the shadows. They were Kiros' way of proving that even the outcasts had a right to their place in the world. He didn't care that Simba would never accept him. He didn't care about the circle of life. He cared about breaking free from the limitations that had been placed on him by birth, by history, and by the very world that had rejected him. But let's not forget, Kiros didn't remain unchallenged forever. As Mufasa, the Lion King, unfolds, we see the inevitable clash of ideals. The world that Mufasa and Simba fought so hard to preserve versus the chaotic, ruthless vision that Kiros sought to impose. It's clear that the film sets up Kiros as a force that cannot be ignored, a villain who won't back down easily. But does he even see himself as a villain? Does he believe he's simply doing what needs to be done to build a better world for himself and his followers? Or is he a product of the very system he's trying to overthrow? In the end, Kiros' story reflects the consequences of rejection, of a lion who never had the chance to belong, and of a leader who was willing to destroy everything to claim his place in the world. But what do you think? Was Kiros born bad, or did life make him that way? Does his story make you question what it truly means to lead? Because let's face it, his life was anything but ordinary, and perhaps that's exactly why we can't stop wondering, who was Kiros really? As we look back on Mufasa, the Lion King, it becomes clear that Kiros isn't just another villain. He's a tragic figure, a mirror of the dark side of ambition and the cost of isolation. His shocking life story may have been one of pain, loss, and power, but it's also one that leaves us wondering if the outsiders were right all along. Who knows? Maybe Kiros' reign is just the beginning of a much bigger story yet to unfold. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Kiros' past and want to keep exploring more fascinating insights into the Lion King universe, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next.